Good evening, friends. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brahmachari Sagar. My name is Brahmachari Sagar, and I'll be doing this webinar today on the essence of self-realization. All of you, I think, have this book. If you don't, I recommend very strongly that you purchase this. This is the first book almost that Swami Kriyananda wrote, and it contains many conversations that he had with Paramahansa Yogananda. Yogananda often used to tell him, write down the conversations we have, because I don't often speak from such a level of wisdom. And Swamiji beautifully has classified, categorized these conversations according to various topics. And this really is the essence of self-realization. It's not just the essence of this path, but of any path to self-realization. All the ingredients that are necessary are in this book. So today, my understanding is we have done the first two chapters, and so we'll go to the third chapter, which is the dream nature of the universe. And in this chapter, Yogananda ji talks a little bit about how this universe has really been created. I'll read the fifth conversation that Swamiji had with Yogananda. And Yogananda ji says, in a movie, the action seems very real. If you look up to the projection booth, however, you will see that that whole story is being produced by a single beam of light. That is how it is in this great movie of creation. God said, let there be light. Out of that great beam of cosmic light was manifested the entire universe. It is a cosmic movie, in many ways like the one in the movie theatre. And then, of course, Yogananda ji goes on to say that this movie is much more real than what we see in the theatre, because the movie in the theatre is only two-dimensional and real to two senses. We see and we hear, but this movie is three-dimensional and it's real to all five senses. But Yogananda ji ends this conversation with this statement, which is very staggering. This life is no more real than a movie. And so Yogananda ji, when he often took his students, when he was alive, he took his students to the movie theatres. And as all the students, they were boys and girls at that time, were getting engrossed in the movie, he would tap them on the head and tell them, okay, instead of looking at the screen and getting mesmerized, crying if the hero is unhappy, laughing if the hero is happy, look up and look behind. You will see that there is a single beam, white light, which is creating both the hero and the villain. And it's a nice experiment to do. Next time when you are in a movie theatre, in a very engrossing scene, when you take time, it's very, very rewarding to take time and look around the theatre, not just at the screen. You will see that people are very engrossed. Now, Yogananda said there are many benefits to going to a movie. So you see, he was a nice guru to be with. He didn't say, don't go to the movies, don't do this, don't do that, but he knew how to enjoy the good things of life. And so he said there are a few benefits you will receive if you go to a movie theatre. The first is, you will see that deep concentration is possible. And he said, when you watch a movie, look around you. Don't all the moviegoers become perfect yogis. They are 100% focused on what's happening on the screen. They are almost identified with it. They laugh when the hero is happy. They are unhappy when the heroine is sad. And kids, even after the movie is over, they'll come out and they'll try to mimic the action scenes of the hero. And so he said that shows that deep concentration where you forget your current ego, your current personality is possible. And he said the second benefit is when you look at the beam, you start seeing that all this mesmerizing play has been created by this single beam of light. And Yogananda said that is exactly how this world has been created. That it's God's consciousness which projected this beam on the screen of delusion. And here we are thinking that this is all real. But Yogananda added something more. Here's one more conversation that I'll read. This is conversation number 4. Because it's not so easy to believe, even after hearing all this, that this world is just a dream. And so Yogananda said, this world seems real to you because God dreamed you into existence along with His cosmic dream. You are a part of His dream. If at night you dream that in your dream you bump your head against a wall, you may get an imaginary pain in your head. But as soon as you wake up, you realize that there is no wall there to hurt you. The pain you experienced was in your mind, not in your head. The same is true of this dream you are dreaming now. Wake up to the one reality, God, and you will see that this earth life is just a shadow. It's nothing but shadows and light. And so, of course, the way to realize that this world is a dream or it's a movie is to wake up, to get de-engrossed from the movie. When in a movie you are very focused on some scene, you might almost think, those things that are happening are real. In fact, I have noticed, think about the first time you went to a movie theater as a child, or if you have children, when you have taken them to the movie theater. Don't they think that the scenes that are happening there are real, that the hero really died or the hero's brother was really shot? And then they start crying, "Mummy, why did the hero die?" And you try to tell him, no, it was just a movie. And he doesn't believe you. But when you take him to movies several times and he sees the same hero in different roles, or he can do the same role again and again, then gradually the child realizes, oh, he's not really dying, he's just playing this role. And so Yogananda, and the child awakes from his dream illusion that whatever is happening on the movie is real. And so it is with us. Yogananda ji said, the only way to know this world is a dream, it's a movie, is by waking up. And so the techniques of yoga, the teachings of all the great ones have that one motive, to tell us how we can wake up from this dream. And Yogananda ji also said, that is one reason God gave us the capacity to dream. Because when we are asleep, we forget our identity, we don't remember how much our bank balance is, we don't remember what model our cell phone is, we don't remember which shirt we are wearing when we are asleep, and we forget many things that we think are so real. And we create our own dream realities. We can, somebody who's very, very attracted by a scene can create that same scene in his dream. There are people there, some people dying, some being born, big wars happening, fights happening, nice love scenes happening. And when you wake up, you see it was just a dream. And after doing that, Yogananda ji said, maybe someday people start thinking, this world looks very similar to those kind of dreams also. Maybe it's only a dream. And so Yogananda ji said, the goal of yoga, the goal of all spiritual teaching is to teach us how to wake up to our true reality. Now there are a few catches here. The first thing Yogananda ji said is, just as in a book, because sometimes people see this plot and they are very unhappy with what God has created. God is the screenwriter. He writes the screenplay, and they say, well, look at this world, it's such a mess. Everybody, so many people suffering, so many dictators, so many wars, so many injustices. What's God doing? And Yogananda ji said, that's the wrong thread from which to approach this subject. He said, just as when you read a novel, if you are midway through the novel and you think, oh, look at how the hero is getting beaten, look at what's happening here, the villain seems to be winning, then you won't enjoy the novel. But in the last chapter, you will see that how the hero wins. And you can't do that until you have read till the last chapter. And so he said, the way to find out what this world is all about is to first find God. And then from his lips, he will tell you that, look, this is how everything is supposed to be, and then you won't be able to question him. So the way out is not to analyze this dream and see why it is perfect, why it is imperfect, why this is wrong, why this is right, but first to find the cosmic director. And that's why all these teachings tell us how to go within, to find that beam of light which is inside. Now I'm reminded of two stories which I often share on this topic. One is, of course, of this little child who's in school and he's giving an exam. And the teacher, because he's the naughtiest boy in the school, says, I'll ask him the toughest question of the whole lot. And he tells this child, suppose you are in a boat on a lake which is infested with crocodiles. And the child is already getting scared. He says, so imagine you are in a boat on a big lake, and the lake is infested with crocodiles, and you only have a oar, nothing else. And you notice that the boat has a leak. What will you do? And of course, it's a difficult question because you can't jump and swim out. There are crocodiles there. And it seems like there is no answer. But the little boy, he's so scared of imagining this situation that he gives the only correct answer. He says, teacher, I will stop imagining. And somehow that is the solution to how to make sense of this whole world. It is to get out of this dream and realize it is only a dream. Stop imagining. You can't make this dream perfect while remaining bewitched by it. That's the thing Yogananda ji taught. But the way out of getting de-bewitched, if that's not a word, I think there is some other word. But the way out of this enchantment is not so easy. You can't just say, I'll stop imagining and stop imagining, because that's not how this dream is dispersed. And so there's this second story. This is from Adi Shankara's life, because Adi Shankara was one of the most famous philosophers who advanced this theory or this understanding that this whole world is a dream. He called it Maya. It's all Maya, it's all dream. And so the story goes, he was sitting with his disciples under a tree, and he was telling everybody that all this world is a Maya. So you are a dream, I am a dream. This whole spectacle that we are sitting under this tree is a dream. This tree behind us, that's a dream. These people are a dream. And all the students were nodding their heads and feeling nice and dreamy. Everything is a dream, it doesn't matter. When suddenly somebody shouted, get out of the way. A mad elephant is, coming along your direction, is running in your direction, and there is no way to control it. But everybody was, just sitting there saying, oh, there is a dream. In this dream, this mad elephant is coming. What does it matter? But Adi Shankara immediately picked up his books and started running. And he told his students, what are you doing, you fools? Get out of the way. And of course, the students shook awake, and they started running helter-skelter. And the elephant passed by. After the elephant passed by, Adi Shankara went back to his seat, again laid his books, and all the boys started assembling again to their spots. And he said, okay, so where was I? Yes, I was saying everything is a dream. So this world is a dream, this is a dream, that is a dream. But by now the students had had enough. They said, wait a minute, sir, teacher, if everything was a dream, why did you run when that elephant charged at us? And Adi Shankara said, but who ran? Even that running was a dream. And there is a deep lesson there, that amongst all the students, only Adi Shankara, even when he was running, he had that consciousness that this was just a dream. And he was telling his students, the way out of this dream is not just theoretically thinking this is all a dream and sitting there and doing nothing, but by learning to act correctly, while always remembering this is a dream. To have that realization that this is a dream and then to say that this world is a dream is fine. But to make this world is a dream an excuse for laziness or wrong action is not the way out. And so for example, many people who say theoretically this world is a dream, everything is a dream, nothing is right, you go and slap them and they'll forget that this world is a dream and they'll slap you hard. And so we don't want to be like that. We don't want to be armchair philosophers. We want to really wake up. And the way to waking up, as Paramahansa Yogananda, as the great ones have told, is through right action. In the Gita, there are Swami Kriyananda said, Krishna talks about three things. He talks about right action, he talks about non-action, which is the state of samadhi, cosmic consciousness, where all action ceases because you are one with the cosmos. And then third, he talks about inaction, which is not acting at all. And Krishna makes it clear. He says, Arjuna, the way to non-action or the state of samadhi is not through inaction, but through right God-reminding action. The lazy bones, and Yoganandaji's paraphrase was, the lazy bones will never find God. And so the way out is by God reminding action. When we act, we have to act with the consciousness that we are dreaming. Now, Yogananda ji said this: just because it is a dream doesn't mean you don't act correct. Because if you say this is a dream and start slapping people, they will all slap you back in this dream. And so you'll keep getting slapped. And so even if it is a dream, you have to live right. And so the right living principles are important. This dream was created according to certain laws. And those laws, if you violate them, you feel the brunt, you feel the effects. And so right action is of a few kinds. One is when you act, how do you act so that rather than getting enmeshed in this dream, you are getting freed every day. Because no matter how much you meditate, there will be 21, 22, 23, 23 and a half hours when you are not meditating. And those hours determine whether the sum total of our progress is positive or negative. Because half an hour of meditation is, we make some progress, but rest of the time if we don't act right, then we take a few steps back. And so the way to act correctly so that we get freed by our actions. After that, the way to think correctly so that we can choose the right actions. And add to that the techniques of meditation, which is what yoga teaches. Yoga is about concentrating on that beam, as Yogananda ji said. So basically these three things are karma yoga, jnana yoga and dhyan yoga. Meditation, right action and the yoga of wisdom. All these fused together help us in our liberation, and this is the path of Raja Yoga which Yogananda ji taught. The path that brings us to freedom. Now karma yoga, Yogananda said this, once when somebody asked him about why is there so much suffering, why is there good and bad, Yogananda said, the purpose, look, in a movie the reason a villain is there is so that you learn to extol or imitate the hero. The villain by his wrong actions gives contrast to the good actions of the hero and makes you like the hero more. And that is the purpose even in this world. That all the wrong actions are there not so we emulate them, but so that we understand that we should do the right actions. And so Yogananda often used to say, learn to forsake the role of the villain. Learn to play the role of the hero. And while doing that also learn to look at the beam, so that, because it's the beam finally that creates the hero and the villains. But if you play the role of the villain, then in the story your throat gets cut. And so you don't want to be the villain. So you learn to play the role of a hero, but don't stay there. While doing that, also learn to focus on the beam and see that you are neither hero nor villain, but this blissful consciousness inside. And that is what these various yogas do. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, these teach us how to play the role of a hero. And dhyan yoga teaches us how to turn within and look into that being. Where you can see, oh, I'm neither hero, I'm not villain nor hero, but something that creates all this spectacle. But all these are important. Some people, they just sit there and say, now all I'm going to do is focus on the beam. And Yogananda said, no. If you are playing the role of a villain, which is any action which is ego-inspired, is a villainous action in some way, then you can't just jump from there to looking into the beam. You can't bypass the state of doing uplifting actions. And so we have to do that. But some people, they just become social workers, they do all the good. And Yogananda said, even that is not enough, because you are still a part of the movie. You are playing the good part, but you are a part of the movie. You have to learn also how to focus inside and get out of this movie. And here I am going to end with this example, this recommendation, very practical recommendation that Yogananda gives. This is in Conversation 10. Yogananda says, to know the one reality behind all appearances, remove yourself mentally from nature's oppositional states. Accept with an even mind whatever comes to you in life, pleasure and pain, joy and sorrow, success and failure. And then he adds the second suggestion, live for God alone, serve Him only, love only Him. But that first suggestion is a very nice one, to become even-minded, not become perturbed. Whatever comes in life, if even-minded and blissful, of course, not grave. If we can do that, then we see gradually this world, it doesn't enmesh us as much, and it is replaced by a constant level of joy, which is inside. Add to that meditation, deepen that joy every day, and Yogananda ji said, gradually you will win your freedom. Now, if this is all too much philosophy, if it's still very hard to understand what this world is all about, the simplest way, and in fact the only way, is acquaintance. Apprentice yourself to somebody who has conquered this dream. Find your guru who is self-realized, who has woken up from this dream. Because just by observing how he acts, how he responds to life's challenges, you will gain the confidence that that state is possible. That confidence will not be gained from a million scriptures. It will be very hard to take that level, to reach that level by our own efforts. But if you have a guru, a living example, who can show you that it is doable, as Yogananda ji showed, as Swami Kriyananda showed, then this whole process seems practical, it seems possible.